If I had a nickel for every time Simi had to pull out a substitute track because the originally planned one didn't have proper collision, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't much, but it's strange that it happened twice. Welcome back to the Fast Track. This week we're racing at a park, but not Oran Park as originally scheduled, but instead at Oulton Park. Still technically within the Commonwealth, I suppose. But regardless of that, Oulton still has its own interesting story behind its creation. The land that the track sits on used to home Oulton Hall, the residence of the Egerton family for nearly half a millennia, before it was struck down by fire not once, but twice. Once in 1715 and again in 1926. After World War II broke out and the subsequent bombing of Britain by the Germans, the land was taken over for use by the Allies as a staging area for the Normandy invasion, notably hosting General George Patton and the US Third Army. The land was handed back to the Egerton family by war's end, but there wasn't much left, aside from a 12-foot wide roadway that would serve as the inspiration to build a racetrack in its wake. Thus, in 1951, Sir Philip Grey Egerton would give his blessing to the Mid-Cheshire Motor Club to build said racetrack on his property, joining many other former military sites in the post-war racing boom. It'd only take 2 years for it to be built and host its first race, and despite the RAC's initial apprehension, it'd quickly draw in a massive audience from the surrounding areas for the years to follow. The layout we'll be racing on is the one that was used from 1974 to 1991, skipping the second chicane before Knickerbrook Corner that was added in 1992. Speaking of Knickerbrook, the story behind that name is hilarious, and best told by the man responsible for it, the late Blaster Bates. Here's the link to a video of him explaining it on screen, and I'll have it in the description as well. But for now, let's just get into this week's Hotlap. The first turn at Oulton starts with braking around the left-hand sign, then trailing off and gassing up gradually as you get closer to the apex. Keep all 4 tires away from the green curbing, as that will invalidate your lap. Turn 3 requires harsh and brief braking before turning in. Keep as far left as possible without going over the inside curb, as the mid-corner bump will send you wide if you're not. The same green curb rules apply here too. Lift and downshift on the entry to turn 4 and throttle up immediately after you hit the apex. Any earlier than that, and you'll go out wide and hit the tires. Brake a little bit past the second sponsor board on the left, and let the banking of 5 carry your speed through the corner while you gradually gas out of it. Use the paved square on the right side past the flag light as your braking point into the Britain's chicane. The limits here are somewhat liberal, so take advantage of cutting the inside of the right-hander and extending a bit outside on exit. Turn 10 is equal parts luck, skill, and setup. I started braking around the 100 board, then easing off and laying the car up before hitting the massive bump and praying the car sticks on exit with gentle throttle and steering inputs. 11 and 12 are nothing corners, but you'll want to brake a bit of ways past the right-hand sign for 13. As soon as you hit the apex of the first part of the corner, gradually throttle up, tucking the car back into the corner and using the exit curb as needed. Brake between the 2 signs on the left at 14, keeping the car close to the inside curb and being late on the throttle, flat out to the end. Once again, I recommend softer wheel rates this week, mainly because the people who made this track seem to have mistaken bumpy roads as being part of good track construction. It is because of said bumps that this track is one of the very few where I do not enjoy lapping it, regardless of which layout is being run. I also recommend a lot more rear toe-in than usual, as you'll need every bit of rotation possible to get through those sweeping corners. You can also try front toe out, but keep in mind that you'll lose front bite on corner exit, depending on how much you put in. And lastly, here are the numbers for this week. And yes, you did read the tire comment correctly. This is one of the few tracks where you will more than likely see no overheating, even on the front left. And while that does it for this week, this is where I have to make the very disappointing announcement that I will be cutting the season short here, and I will not be driving in the final 2 rounds of the EK Civic Cup Series. Now, don't get any of this crossed up. This has nothing to do with the fact that I really don't like this week's track, even though doing the practice laps really made me question my skill in a front drive car. But long story short, I just need to take a 2-3 week period, and I'll make a community post going into more detail as to why I'm doing this. I just don't want to get into it here. But yeah, the channel's just going to be on hold until I get back in the swing of things. But before I close out this season, I really do want to thank everybody who has been watching my videos and hopefully continue to watch my videos, and to wish everyone who will be racing in my absence good luck, especially considering that John has a pretty sizable lead on everybody else in the championship as of me recording this, so yeah, good luck to everybody, and thank you for watching to this point, and I will see you whenever I get back. But until then, take care.